Hello, hello. Now, I know as a brain trainer, you are already convinced that it's a good idea to say affirmations or mantras or incantations or declarations on a daily basis. But do you ever have trouble remembering to say them? Well, if that sounds like you, then you're going to love today's episode of Positive Mindset for Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Dana Wild. This is the channel where you discover how to grow your business faster by training your brain and feeling good. Oh, yeah. If you haven't done it yet, make sure to opt in for my daily mantra at danawild.com/mantra. So we had a listener write in, and I'm going to read what they wrote. They wrote in, I understand it's a good idea to say affirmations, but I always forget to say them. Do you have any tricks for remembering? So I'm going to give you some tips now. And the first tip I want to start out with is talking about the importance of saying mantras and why we do it. One thing that people sometimes forget or we don't pay close enough attention to is the idea that everything we learned, everything we became proficient at it, we learned it, we turned it into a belief through the repetition of information, the repetition of thought, the repetition of hearing things and talking about things, combined with our emotional state at the time. So here's what I mean by that. When all of us come into this physical plane, we all are little tiny helpless babies. We don't know anything about anything, right? But we practice things and we get good at things and we learn things over and over and over again. When we are first learning to pick up an object, think about all the little muscles in the hand that you have to operate to navigate in space and pick up an object. Imagine the concentration and focus it takes to stand up and walk across a room, learning to take those first steps, all the muscles that are in operation and the balancing from one leg to the other. So after a while, we focus our conscious minds, that's the noisy thinking mind, and we practice and practice and practice. And eventually we don't do that focusing anymore. Most of us now, if we pick up a glass of water or we walk across the room, we don't think about it. We just do it. We've turned that repetitious task, that way of doing something over to our unconscious mind, and we don't have to think about it. It just becomes part of our makeup, part of our unconscious existence. The same goes for the way we think about things and the way we believe things. Nobody comes into the planet as a baby with the idea, I hate broccoli or I'm not good at art. We develop these ideas about ourselves and we do it through repetition. We get an idea, we get a hold of it, we think it over and over again. Abraham Hicks likes to say, beliefs are just thoughts you keep thinking. And that is so true. So, this is the power of thought, the power of thinking a thought, the power of saying a mantra, the power of repeating an affirmation. We are reprogramming our unconscious mind in the very same way that we got this way in the first place. That's exactly how we did it, is we, repeated an idea over and over again until it just became part of our unconscious makeup, just like we repeated picking up an object or walking across a room. If you are a shy person and you walk into a crowded room, you don't need to look at a list and go, gosh, where's my list of character traits again? I don't remember how I feel about this. It's automatic. It's part of the unconscious makeup. So if you want to learn more about crafting great mantras, then look for the link in the description. I will link a video that I did about how to craft a perfect language mantra so you understand how it works with your brain. Today, we're going to talk about how to remember to say those mantras. How do you remember to say those positive phrases over and over and over again? So it's important to say mantras because of that they are reprogramming the unconscious mind and they're occupying your mind with information that's positive. Contrary to popular belief, you can only think one thought at a time. And so every minute you're thinking a positive thought is sometime you're not thinking a negative thought. So, number two, I want to bring up something that is not very often mentioned, and that is say your mantras when you feel good. Say your mantras that feel good. Many times people try to say some perfect language mantra like, I'm a money magnet or abundance is flowing to me. And we say it when we're not in a feel good state of mind. If you are not in a feel good state of mind, do not say your mantras because you are actually affirming the other end of the mantra. You're actually affirming the lack of abundance or that you're not a money magnet. So, this is absolutely essential that mantras or affirmations or incantations are meant to be playful and sing-songy and fun and all of those things. So remember that when you are saying them, it's important to feel good first. Feel good first. Say them to feel good. Say them to elevate your feel good, but do not say them when you're not feeling good. To remember to say your mantras. Number 3 that I want to talk about is to interrupt your unconscious state of mind. Now, you might remember me saying a second ago that after we practice things, we turn it over to the unconscious mind and we get so good at them that we don't think about them. And brain scientists estimate that 95 to 99% of the day, we are walking around in an unconscious state of mind. Wow, right? Like that's a lot. So the good news is you don't have to be present and conscious and aware in your life 95% of the day for mantras to work. If you can just eke your awareness to like a 0.5% more a day, you're going to have ridiculous success with this. But we must implement systems that break our unconscious patterns of thinking, our unconscious zombie like state of mind. So you might have had this experience when you've been driving and suddenly you're driving and you're like, whoa, I just went 10 miles and how did I get here? Like you were in an unconscious state of mind that 95 to 99% of the time is spent doing most of our day. Look at your day and notice, like when you get up in the morning, what do? You go walk the dog and you go start your morning beverage and you go do this thing, take a shower, brush your teeth, or whatever it is. You can pretty much look at different times of day. The easiest ones are morning, anytime that you're having mealtime or transitions, like if you have a habit of going to drive to pick up your kids to school, something like that, evening time and bedtime. And you're going to see that there are certain habits of patterns that you have. And if you doubt that you are operating at all in an unconscious state of mind, then I will challenge you tomorrow to put your pants on, you putting a different leg in the pant first than you usually do. And you will see how ingrained our unconscious patterns are. They're very ingrained. And what's nice is we can benefit from that. So you're going to interrupt your unconscious patterns. We're walking around like zombies, just going about our day. You have to wake up. And one of the ways I used to wake up is post-it notes. You can take a post-it note and you can just write mantras on it or say your mantras or it's going to be a great day or hello, wake up or a blank post-it note. It can literally just be a blank post-it note somewhere in your world, like on your coffee pot or your computer or your car. And just that will be enough to wake you up and remind you, oh, yes, okay, I'm just interrupting my pattern here. I'm going to say my mantras now. I'm going to think my, favorite affirmations. I'm going to say my declarations, whatever you choose to call them. So interrupt your unconscious pattern with post-it notes and change the color of those post-it notes often, change the location often, and it will keep you in a more aware state of mind. Number 4, set reminders on your phone. I have 10 reminders every day that go off on my watch and my phone, and they say that the mantras I'm using, but you can even have them just say your mantras, or this is your reminder, or something like that. You, at first, if you're like me, you will see the reminder and say your mantra. Oh yeah, this is the time I could be saying my mantra, right? And over time, you start to not notice them as much. But what happens is your brain sees them. So even if you're not affirming them you affirming your mantras and your affirmations right in that second, your brain sees it and your brain remembers why you set that reminder. Okay. Number 6, all of this leads up to a really cool trick that I learned from Charles Duhigg, who is the author of The Power of Habit. And the trick is, I don't know what he calls it, but I call it habit stacking. Maybe he does too. I picked that up somewhere along the line. So, habit stacking is a method for leveraging the power of the habits that you have. You've already got that ingrained habit of getting up, taking the leash, walking the dog, bringing the dog back in, starting your cup of coffee or your cup of tea or your smoothie. You've already got that habit ingrained. So leverage that habit and add another habit to it. Habit stacking. So think of it this way. Imagine that you want to start the habit of taking supplements every day. Well, the best way to do that would be to put a note on your a current habit of making a smoothie of the protein powder, and the note would say, take your supplements. So you're doing your current habit, you're making your smoothie in the morning, and you go, oh, yeah, take my supplements. What happens is eventually the supplement becomes attached to the smoothie habit, and now you can do both at the same time, and pretty soon you don't need the note. This is a fantastic way to add any kind of habit. I mean, this is going to be such a game changer for you. You won't even believe how easy it is to add habits to your life when you already have a habit that's in place that you can attach it to. If you have a habit every night of brushing your teeth before bed or washing your face, put a note on the toothpaste and say your mantras in your mind while you're doing it, or say them quietly while you're washing your face. If you already have a habit of making a morning beverage or walking the dog, put the post-it note, say your mantras on the leash. This is one of the best ways to say mantras every day, is to put it on the leash, walk the dog, and say your mantras while you're walking the dog. So it's a great way to occupy your mind when really you'd probably just be thinking some kind of mundane stuff anyway, right? So habit stacking, that is a game changer. Totally. I can't tell you the number of habits I've been able to instill just by stacking them onto other habits. You can fill in the blank with whatever you like to do. Next, incorporate your habits into your daily life, into things you're already doing. And I'm going to give you a really good example of how to do that. Many times we're typing in passwords, even if you have some kind of a password user software that saves your passwords. Usually you have to have a password to access that cache of passwords. So it's somewhere we're using passwords. Well, what if your password becomes your mantra? You can make really complicated passwords with, zeros for the O's and, dollar signs for the S's, or all of these types of things, and write your mantra password, create a mantra password, and use it online. You might like to get a list of ideas. And if you do, you can get those at danawilde.com/mantra passwords. And I give you a list of 100 different passwords in the categories of, love and health and wealth and all those big categories. And they're ready for you to use. And so please do check them out. And they're free. My favorite price. Yay, free. danawilde.com/mantra passwords. The other thing you can do, number 7, is if you can interrupt the process, you can do it in any way possible. It's not just post-it notes and reminders. You can put a piece of string around your wrist, or you can put a little one of those rubber band silicone bracelets. And every time you see the bracelet or you see the string, you go, oh yeah, now's the time I can be doing my mantras. If you're the type of person that wears a lot of jewelry and you have those bangle bracelets, you can take those bracelets and move them from one wrist to another for each one you say. Another cool trick along this same lines is you can keep little stacks of pennies or little small coinage in little stacks. And when you see them, know like, okay, I can say a mantra for each one. So there are other ways to interrupt the process. Just associate that thing with saying your mantras. And it can be anything, it can be a little widget or a small rock or a crystal or anything. And you just kind of set your mind to it that every time I see this thing, I'm going to remember to say my mantras, and your brain will follow through and help you. Number 8, if you can set your mantra to music, you are golden. Oh my gosh. Think of how you get a song stuck in your head and it's a total earworm. There's a reason why Baby Shark is written the way it is. Kids' songs are great for this. Kids' songs are such earworms. So you take a song like Little Brown Jug or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or Shortening Bread or any one of those songs that we learn as kids, and you set your mantras to it and sing your mantra all day long, and you won't even have to remember to say your mantra because it will just stay playing in your head all day, every day. And then the last thing I want to say, the ninth tip I want to give you regarding saying your mantras or remembering to say your mantras is that sometimes we get locked in as brain trainers, or we get locked into ideas about mindset, and we start to get a little bit anxious that if we're not doing certain things, we're not going to see change. And so I want to caution you that we know the power of mantras. We know the power of affirmations. We know the power of thinking good thoughts and letting your reticular activating system match those thoughts. It's really a good tool that to be a proactive thinker in your head. When you can learn how to do that, how to wake up and be aware and be a proactive thinker in your brain, you are going to have rapid change. You're going to see the power of your brain. You're not going to have to be convinced because your brain's going to show you how even a little bit of positivity will start to make leaps and bounds of difference in your life. And it takes 72 hours for that reticular activating system to kick in. So if you can focus for 72 hours, you're going to see the beauty of this. But having said that, the last thing I wanted to say is that the last thing that I would ever want to happen to anybody is that you start to get anxious about your mantras or about saying your mantras. So it can start to feel like we've got this story that sounds like, oh, I'm not saying my mantras, so things aren't going to work out for me. Or, oh, I'm not visualizing, so things aren't going to work out for me. Or, oh, I didn't do a vision board this year, so things are not going to work out for me. There's this kind of sense sometimes of like, saying our mantras can just become one more thing to beat ourselves up about. And so I really want you to take to heart that if you are here, you for sure have a desire to improve your life, to be on the happy path, to grow your business, to make an impact in the world, to follow your passions. You for sure 100% are already 1,000 times above the average person when it comes to personal development and emotional readiness and growth and positive emotional momentum and all of those things. Saying your mantras is nice. It's a added layer of icing on top of the incredible, wonderful, tasty brain training cake. Whether you say your mantras or whether you do not, you will be successful. You will be successful because you've already proven you have everything necessary to be successful. You are interested in learning, you're interested in improving, you're interested in thinking differently, you're interested in being a brain trainer. You keep tuning in here to this channel, you keep engaging, you are on your way. If you are ready to say, yes, I want to leverage the power of mindset, I am down with that, then put in the comment, I am ready, because you are telling me in the comments and you're telling your brain that you are ready to take this all the way, to feel good. And it's nice then if you say your mantras on top of that, but whether or not you do, you will be successful. So start that little quiet voice in the back of your head that says, Dana's right. That's the best way to start every Little story, by the way. Dana's right. Dana's right. I'm already doing things. I'm already getting better at this. I'm taking steps every day. It feels good to be a brain trainer. It feels good to leverage the power of mindset. I like that I'm learning how to do this. I like that I'm becoming more proactive. I like that I know how to think a concentrated, focused thought. I like saying mantras and I like knowing that I'm successful regardless. I like finding time in my day to focus on positive thought and gain positive emotional momentum. I like building my business with positive emotional momentum. It feels so good to be a brain trainer. It feels so good to know that my brain is working on my behalf. I love thinking good thoughts and seeing the good results. I love taking intentional action, feeling good, and then taking positive action. It feels so good to follow the feel good path. I love following the feel good path. I love moving in this way every day. I love getting better and better at this. I'm doing more and more all the time to increase my knowledge and increase my usage of this. And I'm really starting to get it. And I'm getting better all the time. Keep that little story going. And without a doubt, you've totally got this.